Hello and welcome to episode 11 of the Can't Ask podcast. As per usual, I'm Victor and I am joined here by Celso.
Yo.
So we're talking a little bit prior to the start of this episode today and we're realizing there's a lot going on in sports right now, but it's a lot less of Canadian content than typical. We both watched a part of the Formula One race and there's a couple Canadians in there, but neither of them were really competitive.
No, but something did happen to a Canadian that caused the finish of
the whole race to get messed up. Yeah. That was just I don't know, man. I don't know F1 enough. I'm getting into it because of Netflix.
Not because of Netflix. I've been a fan, but I haven't been
oh, buddy, I'm getting into it specifically because of the Netflix. It's been an incredible documentary.
I still haven't watched it. I should watch it.
You definitely should. Yeah. But a Canadian crashed and Hamilton was 11 seconds ahead with 5 laps to go, like an unsurmountable lead. And then they're like, no, one final lap and everybody's right beside each other again. So that was messed up. Disadvantage to Hamilton. But it'll be interesting because this is going to be a really cool title race for years to come. Hopefully Hamilton stays at the level he's at. Yeah. I want to see him win at least one more world championship.
Yeah, and I think Max Verstappen is 24, I think, right? So
Verstappen's still pretty young. Yeah, so although the documentary makes me really not like Verstappen.
Why?
I guess you'll see in it. But it's like he comes off as the antagonist crazy. I mean, good for him. He's a talented driver and all that kind of stuff, but I can't stand him, man.
There needs to be heels. It can't be all goody two shoes and
100% agree. So every story needs awesome. Villain. Yeah, exactly. Every single and man, F1 did it perfect. Everyone's complaining oh, my viewers are down and we don't have as many fans as before. F1 did it they are the benchmark and the model for how you're going to build your viewership.
And I think I saw a tweet about viewers in Canada rose 100%.
Yeah, up 100%. Yeah. So there's no question. They did it so smart. Creating an in-depth documentary series. They did a really good job in that documentary. Really good. I will 1000% be watching F1 next year.
Oh yeah, definitely.
100. It would be absolutely. There's just the amount of talent and abilities that you need. You need to have unbelievable reflexes and reactions and whatnot. Yeah. So I guess that's really all we'll talk about F1 because next year will be the start of a new season and we'll see how the Canadians fare. I mean, Lance Stroll's going to stay on his dad's team, so that's not changing. But Latifi or whatever his name is, we'll see. Latifi, yeah. We'll see. It's I was actually looking at the record books and the history of the F1. A Canadian won the F1 title.
1997.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
I did.
That's so cool.
But that's why I said I haven't been watching forever, but I've in the early 2000s it was all thanks to a N64 game that got me into F1, and then I'll try to watch every Sunday, and then Michael Schumacher, Kimi Räikkönen, who's apparently still racing. All those guys.
Yeah, no, I most certainly plan on watching more of it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's been pretty damn impressive. So, anywho, I think probably that's all we'll talk about in the F1 for now. But so then obviously, I mean, we got the big three right now: NBA, NFL, and hockey, and then soccer. We'll talk about that a little bit. So, as always, we'll start with soccer. The men's Champions League group stage came to an end, and we have a couple Canadians that made it through, actually first in their groups. Bayern, nice. Alphonso Davies and Bayern made it first. They ended up crushing Barca 3-0. And then Lyon and Jonathan David also came out in first place in their group. And Jonathan David keeps on scoring for his club team. It's actually incredible. This man, there are more games in which he scores than in which he doesn't score. Let's just put it that way. And then Alphonso Davies didn't score for Bayern at all, but I mean, he's a left back, so it's not really expected to have him score in many games. He's an assist machine, though. He assisted on the second goal, and it was a decent assist, too. Nice. He just has this ability of just going down Barca's right flank, his left, their right, and just deking through a billion people and then passing it perfect. He had the assist of the year last year against Messi's Barcelona, and he repeated the same thing but without Messi. And Barca didn't make it past the group stage of the Champions League.
Surprising. But I guess previous years and stuff, it's surprising, but I guess they're kind of in shambles right now. Right?
They've been terrible, man. Let's not sugarcoat it. They've been absolutely terrible this year, and in the league too. They've been bad. Yeah, but I mean, they keep on scoring. Bayern keeps on doing well. They won 2-1 against Mainz, and then they beat Dortmund 3-2 last week, and they keep on. Yeah, Bayern keeps on being Bayern. You're absolutely right. So they are going to be one of the favorites to win the whole thing, in my opinion. It'll be interesting how the next stages are drawn, because Chelsea didn't finish first in their group, so they'll be the defending champions will be in the second pot, and they'll be playing against one of the top teams in the groups, and that's going to be an interesting challenge for anybody who finishes first to play Chelsea right away. So either Lille or Bayern, they both can play Chelsea, and Chelsea are a very good team. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. And then, yeah, we obviously told you that Lille ended up finishing top of their group. They won 2-1 in their last game, I think it was 2-1. No, it was 3-1, sorry, against Wolfsburg. Man, my German accent's getting so good.
Yes.
So then, moving on to I mean, that's really the men. Like, Besiktas is where two Canadians play, and I'm pretty sure they lost every single game. They finished last in the group. I'm positive about that. But they didn't do very well. They're also not doing very well in their domestic. Yeah, they're also not doing very well domestically either. So we might not see them in the Champions League next year. You know who we probably will see in the Champions League next year, though? Is our homie Tajon Buchanan, a finalist for the Rookie of the Year in the MLS, and a fixture, a prominent player in the top 11. It'll be nice to see him, man. I'm pretty excited to see Tajon in the Champions League and playing over in Europe. Like, I mean, Club Brugge, Belgian league isn't that great. But Club Brugge, as we've mentioned multiple times in the past, like, they are a very good developmental team. Like, they do a really good job of developing young players. And if he can become even half the player that Kevin De Bruyne is, like, that'll be an absolutely incredible accomplishment for him.
Oh, yeah.
And De Bruyne didn't actually develop until he was like 23 or 4. He didn't become like a superstar at that age. So we'll see how it goes. I mean, I'm excited for Buchanan to get some... I actually anticipate 2 or 3 more Canadians following suit and going over to Europe next year, because we had a few of their contracts are done in the MLS and they're looking over to Europe. Because if you think about it, the Canadian team is now competitive enough that players are going to want to start going to Europe to get the more meaningful, more challenging football.
Just becoming way better.
Not just to better themselves, but also to like have a better chance of cracking the lineup. And then another thing that actually I saw in the news recently was, so there's this Mexican kid who was born in Canada but is playing youth for Mexico, and he played one international game for the men's side of Mexico. John Herdman is being rumored to invite him to the next Canada camp to make him switch over from Mexico to Canada. An attacking midfielder, which is exactly what we need.
Oh yeah.
And kid's only 18. Definitely. So the rule is, as long as you've played 2 or fewer games for your men's national program, but before the age of 20 or 21, I think is what it is, you're allowed to switch nationalities. That is why Tayambo, or whatever his name is, the AC Milan center back, one of the better center backs in Serie A, who was born Canadian or has Canadian nationality. I don't know which one it is, but he wasn't able to switch anymore because he played 3 international men's. I don't think he would have, but he's not being called to any England caps anymore. Like, he got called 3 times total. So
also, he's kind of screwed now.
He screwed himself over a little bit there. Yeah, I mean, he's a great defender. I don't think he's a top 3 center back for England, but he would have been a top center back for Canada for sure. Yeah. That also being said, I really, really, really want to see Miller come out here to Europe. Come out here as if we're in Europe. Go out to Europe and show his craft. Like, he is the perfect style of center back to dominate in the Premier League. A big, fast dude. Oh yeah, that'll be huge. I'm excited, man, because like Derek Cornelius is pretty good too, but that guy's skinny, dude. That guy's so small. Center backs need to be pretty huge typically, because like they're the big guy, they're the last defense. Like, your stereotypical center back is that, right? Your stereotypical like winger is like a super skinny dude that just runs up and down. But like, stereotypes are changing, man. Erling Haaland out of Borussia Dortmund, Norway. Man, that guy is an absolute monstrosity of a behemoth of a man. Just how he just runs people over. So funny. Yeah, actually, Davies almost got into a fight with him last week.
Really?
It was nothing, dude. So, like, Erling Haaland took out Davies' teammate, and Davies, as a good teammate should, goes up to defend him. But then Hernandez, who's like 10 feet shorter and like 100 pounds lighter, he's like, nah, dude, I'm not winning this. So he just offers his hand and gives him a hug. He's like, it's okay, I forgive you. Like, and then Davies is probably like, whew, thank God I don't have to get into it with this dude. It's and then so like moving on to the women now. Okay, a while back we talked about the PSG women's team, and there's a couple Canadians there, but we were talking about this one like the one female player that got attacked, right?
Yeah.
And at that point, the story was that they were teammates that the one teammate attacked the other teammate because she wanted playing time. That was the original theory. The actual story of what actually happened has been discovered to be not that. I guess that was the weirdest way I could have possibly said that.
A little bit.
So originally it was a teammate that ordered a hit on a teammate. That's actually not the case. It was so the player that got injured. I forget her name all the time. But the women's player, Kiera Hamaraoui or whatever her name is, she got attacked by two masked people with like crowbars, bats, or whatever it is, and just to hit the legs and
just injured them.
Yeah. So we saw that in figure skating years back or whatever it was, right? Okay, it actually was the wife of former Barcelona player and French international Eric Abidal. Apparently, Kiera Hamaraoui or whatever her name is had an affair with Eric Abidal, and then the wife found out, and then she ordered the hit. Isn't that nuts?
That is pretty nuts.
Apologies to like the woman got released from prison like immediately once they figured that out, but it's insane, dude, and she's not back yet. Like the injuries are pretty bad, so. I mean, that's so brutal, man. Could you imagine? And then the third player in the car there, too. Like, the trauma you must, like, oh. Anyways, that was messed up, man. That was just absolutely messed up.
But I guess that's one way to get back.
Don't ever encourage this.
No, but it is. I guess it's one way to get back on the person. But
yeah, I mean, that's not the right way, though, man. Come on, that's not.
No,
that's just brutal. The Lyon women, man, they're just absolutely destroying the competition everywhere they go. Like, they're just doing so well. They're first in the French league, and in the second place is PSG, whom they beat 6-1 the other day. And, like, they're 1 and 2 so far ahead of everybody else in the league right now. And Champions League, they're just destroying, like, 5-0, 1-0 in the Champions League game. Or they lost 1-0 to Bayern, actually. That's a shock. They won previously to them, though. Mm-hmm. But anyways, it's Lyon women are playing so well right now, too. I know we switched from PSG to Lyon that quick. I'm sorry, but we do have Buchanan on that team. The female Buchanan on that team. They're not related, though. Don't worry. That's not a thing. But yeah, she's one of the center backs. If I'm not mistaken, she's like a starting center back typically on that team. So, yeah, I mean, it's good. Like, Lyon is one of the top teams in French soccer. It's Chelsea, Lyon, Bayern maybe. I'm not entirely sure though. I haven't heard too much about Bayern in the women's league, but it really is Chelsea and Lyon that are just like the big two. PSG is typically a really good team too. They compete pretty well. It'll be nice to see. I mean, we have, and then we mentioned that Julia Grosso is moving over from college in the States to play for Juventus, and Juventus tied 0-0 with Chelsea last week in the Champions League.
Oh, nice.
And Chelsea, in their most recent domestic game, lost to fellow Canadian Deanne Rose and Reading. Deanne Rose scored in the 4th minute of that game, so that was quite, obviously she was pretty happy. She was probably pretty happy about that. Jessie Fleming, unfortunately, probably was not very happy about that, but she is again in the starting lineup, and she's been killing it, man. Like, she's been absolutely incredible for that team, and like she is becoming one of the faces of women's football in the world, really, not just Canada, in the world. Like, she is a truly remarkable athlete. And then Chelsea women won the FA Cup against Arsenal last week. Actually, exactly a week ago today from recording. December 5th is when they ended up winning. 3-0 against Arsenal. So, hey man, they're doing well. They're going to just keep on getting better, which I'm pretty pumped about. And there's just so much soccer to watch. And then the international window for the men is coming up pretty quick here too. January 27th, 30th, and February 2nd. Yes. I'll be watching every single game. I've made sure that all my plans are like canceled and like I'm only watching those games. Yeah, there's no doubt. Like, The closer it gets, the more nervous I get.
Oh, I bet. Yeah, like we're first in the group, which is awesome. But then it's basically we just have to hope everything falls into place so that we can remain top 3, right?
Listen, we are in charge of our own destiny now.
Yes.
We have played so well through the first, I believe it's 10 games, or no, through the first 8 games. We've played so well through the first 8 games. We are in charge of our own destiny. And it's going to be very interesting to see how we do in the next 3. Because I'm going to say it again, man. 3 wins in this next window, I'm going to say pretty much guarantees us a spot in the World Cup. Almost guarantees us. Because then that's just insurmountable points to come back from. And I would want to be in a position where we are pretty much guaranteed a World Cup spot once before the last window. Because the last window we play away to both Panama and Costa Rica. And that's going to be tough. And then Jamaica at home. And Jamaica's turning out like getting a lot better. It will be, again, we're in our own debt. We're we are in charge of our own destiny for sure. So it'll be good. I have faith in these boys though. Like these men are going to be able to. There's never a lack of effort for this club, for this team, and they're playing better than what their talent at the moment is. If we're going to be honest, like Mexico top to bottom and the States top to bottom probably have better like individual players. Yeah. But the Canadian men are developing into becoming like we have the best player in all of North America, and I think we have 2 more in the top 5 or top 10 for sure. But 2 more very damn close to the top 5. Like Pulisic and Buchanan, I think Buchanan can be better than Pulisic out of the States. Again, obviously I'm super biased, but Pulisic plays for Chelsea right now, and Buchanan, honest to God, I think he has the ability offensively to be better. Defensively, he needs to improve a lot, but he is a winger, so wingers are more offensively minded. However, it is very, like, as we've seen in this, not the last one, the one prior, Buchanan was the primary defender on a couple of like not so good goals against. Yeah, so like Canada should be doing pretty damn, like we should be okay. Should be fine. John Herdman is an unbelievable coach though, like unfreaking believable how good this man has been for this country's both men and women football scenes. He can't be understated. Name him to the Order of Canada already, man. Like I'm actually serious. Like this man has done so much for the sport in this country that like maybe name a stadium after him once he retires or something, or even before he retires. Cool. Yeah. They have to do something. Yeah. They have to do something. Like name a stadium after Sinclair as well. Sinclair and Herdman are the two biggest and then like. Because we've had good players in the past. Like Craig Forrest was a world-class keeper. Yeah. Right? But like, how many people know about Craig Forrest? Really? Not many people know about who Craig Forrest is. And it's unfortunate because he was a world-class keeper, but he had a terrible team in front of him half the time. Like, and then the style of football was dump and chase. Like, nobody likes watching dump and chase football. It's so boring, man. It's like you just kick and run. That's like how 90% of the teams used to play here when I was younger, at least, in playing. It was just kick and run. Like, no, you need no talent to do that. Like, why? You just kick the ball towards the fastest kid and hope to God that he scores? It's like, in that case, Usain Bolt could have been an exceptional soccer player here in Canada. Like, seriously, John Herdman and Christian Sinclair have risen the level of football in this country completely. And it's not even close. And I think like their contribution to the sport, honest to God, for me, it rivals that of like Gretzky or Howe in hockey, or like Steve Nash and Vince Carter in basketball. I don't know if Vince Carter's American, but like it was still part of a Canadian team, you know, and like the growth of the sport. Yeah. So yeah, Steve Nash, Vince Carter in basketball, or like Morneau and Votto in baseball. Like those guys, like actually Sinclair and Herdman for me are significantly more monumental for the sport than what baseball did. Or even like the 2 championships, the 92 and 93 Jays championships. Canada gold in soccer for women, I think, is bigger than those 2 World Series championships.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think it was because it's the whole country.
Or even like the, what was it, like the Golden Goal?
The Golden Goal 2010? 2010. I will 100%, those for me are level. Level. I personally, for me, I like the women's soccer gold a little bit more because we're not expected to win that and all that kind of stuff. I would say that too. But for like a moment in Canadian history, I would put those level solely for 2 reasons. Okay, I'll give you 2 reasons. One, hockey is Canada's sport. Okay, that goal was an OT winner when they came back to tie us after being 2-0 up, or 2-0 up. Sorry, it's hockey, not soccer anymore. After being up 2-0. And it was so dramatic the way they came back, and then just the whole. I can imagine. I remember the whole thing. I remember the stick tap, and then he scores. And it was huge. The entire country celebrated in unison. Guarantee there was like an earthquake registered up in Canada. So that was huge. But just because everyone in Canada watches hockey and everyone loves hockey, obviously it's a bold statement, but I would say the majority do. The majority watch hockey. My mom watched the game. She doesn't watch hockey too often. Like.
My parents don't watch hockey, and they watch the game too.
Yeah, so like that was a moment that unified the country for sure. The soccer one was one that was not expected. Nope. Realistically, obviously they went into the Olympics with the hope of changing the color of the medal. So they knew that they were able to at least make it to the final, and then they believed in themselves to win. Which, I mean, obviously it's easier to say now than before, but looking back, they had a very good team. They had every right to win, but the monstrosity of the American team that we were guaranteed to have had to go through at some point, that was just so intimidating to go against. And then the fact that they beat the States and so many people came clutch, and it wasn't the people that were used to being clutch. A lot of people came up clutch. So I personally prefer the Canada's soccer gold. However, I think with respect to the Canadian sporting history, I'm putting both are equivalent.
Level? Yeah.
Yeah. They're both level. Because that was Canada's, their home Olympics at home. I would put them level. That was pretty huge. I mean, both Julie Grosso and Sidney Crosby have something they share in common. Now they each scored Canada's golden goal in Olympics.
Yep. So also cycling back to Olympics, since we were talking about Canadian women, guess who won the Lou Marsh?
Yeah, Damian Warner.
Yeah,
doesn't necessarily surprise me. I didn't have him in my top 3. However, the winner of the decathlon is considered the greatest athlete of the world. So it doesn't surprise me that a Canadian record and close to world record. I think it was an Olympic record. It was an Olympic
record. Yeah.
So he got an Olympic record and became the first Canadian to win it and whatnot. And it was a Canadian. Anyways, it honest to goodness does not surprise me. It was an incredible achievement, and I'm I'm really happy for him, man. It was well deserved.
Oh, yeah.
Unbelievably well deserved. And I think you can make an argument for 3 or 4 different Canadians to win the Lou Marsh. This is probably the year where you could have probably just shared it with a bunch of people. But yeah, and then I like how Canadian Damian Warner was in accepting it. He was so gracious and thankful. That's exactly what you want, right? But it'll be interesting to see who else they really considered. I'd love to see how the voting thing goes, how that works.
How everyone
it would be interesting because you know how they release the ballots for the Hall of Fame ballots or the NHL awards ballots, something like that. It'd be interesting to see how people thought, because I'd want to see how many people had a Canadian women's soccer player in there. I think if Christine Sinclair would have been the one scoring the penalties and scoring more goals, I think it would have been easily Sinclair. And Fleming only scored in the penalty. I mean, okay, please. Only the penalties. They were clutch penalties, and they're not actually as easy to score as people people think. Okay, I don't know. I still think Fleming would have been a great choice as well. Damian Warner was an exceptional choice. Sinclair could have been a choice. LeBay, half the women's soccer team, if we're going to be completely honest. Natalie Spooner from the women's hockey team also could have been a pretty good choice there too, winning the first World Hockey Championship for the women with that. Or was it Marie-Philippe Poulin, actually? Sorry. It was Marie-Philippe Poulin who could have won it, because she had that unbelievable goal in overtime, and nobody knew it was actually a goal because they kept on playing because it was such a precise shot. Yeah, I'm glad you pointed out that. I forgot to mention that, so thank you. But yeah, Damian Warner winning the Lou Marsh, very fitting, man.
Oh, yeah.
Very, very fitting. So I'm very happy for him.
Basically, he was Canada's top athlete.
Technically. And the world's greatest athlete. Yeah. I would have loved to have seen a woman win it this year, just because of how dominant the women have been for us in sport this year. You know what I mean? So it's men have been pretty decent, okay, but the women are the ones that carried the sporting up here in Canada for at least for the whole summer. The men are starting to do really well in soccer, so that's starting to pick up a little bit. But the women, have just completely dominated sport for us this year. Do you think that's a fair statement?
Oh no, yeah, that's a fair statement. Yeah. And then there's so it's gonna be interesting to see for next year's because the Winter Olympics is next year, so you might see maybe someone from there win it. Maybe
could be. It could be. Although, like in the Winter Olympics, there isn't a single sport that it's like, okay, you're the greatest athlete. It's like individual little sports that I'll be interesting. You know what? If Canada makes it to the World Cup, Davies wins it.
Yep.
Right? Can a coach get it? I don't think so. Hey?
Well, it's top athlete, so I don't. There might be a thing for
coach
for like coaching and stuff. But honestly, if you could put Herdman there, then he'd definitely get it. But I don't think that's how it works. So
yeah. Anyways, you know what?
Maybe make an exception. But.
Yeah, right. I'm going to put you on the spot. I'm going to ask, who are your top 3 Canadian figures? Like it doesn't have to be obviously this is an athletic podcast, so like somebody like who you associate with a Canadian sport or in Canadian sport. All right.
So my personal 3.
Your top 3. It doesn't necessarily have to be in a particular order. It's just your top
my
3.
Personal 3.
Yeah.
I'd probably go one of them would probably be Rod Phillips.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Great call.
Yeah. Definitely would like to talk to him about like all the years he was announcing for the Oilers, and just because he was basically the voice of.
He would have been for Oilers. Every one of those awesome stories, man. From this. Oh yeah.
Definitely.
Good call.
Definitely him. That's a very good question. I got one.
Okay, I'll give you my 3, I guess. Okay. My number 1, Christine Sinclair. I think for me, she's my favorite Canadian athlete of all time right now. It's just what she's done for the sport, and in every interview, she seems so humble, and just to get like the stories behind it, man. Like she's one of the best leaders that Canada's ever produced as well. It's like, well, how do you motivate your this? I just feel it'd be such an interesting conversation to have with Christine Sinclair. Next, he's technically a Kiwi, but it definitely has to be John Herdman, man. I have like the biggest man crush on this dude. Like him and Sinclair, what they've done for the sport together. It's just been, and Sinclair for like an individual aspect before Herdman even came on board was lighting it up for Canada, but Herdman really formed that team, and now is both teams. So definitely Herdman and Sinclair, and I'm torn on my last one. I would be, you know what, Terry Fox.
Okay, I was gonna say Jesse Fleming because you have basically.
Oh, I'm in love with Jesse Fleming, 100%.
I thought it was gonna be her.
No, Terry Fox, man.
Terry Fox
would be like it's a figure a Canadian figure that is known worldwide, and he's like the pride of this country. His mom was a torchbearer in like the Olympic ceremonies in Vancouver. Terry Fox would be a really interesting person to talk to. Just like, yeah, I think he's one of the best figures, and technically, because he tried to run across the entire country, I would consider him an athlete. Yeah, you bring a brilliant point, Rod Phillips. So like the Sathers, or like honorable mention is probably Glenn Sather or Gretzky, or like that would be pretty cool. Or a Tippett, just to figure out what the heck is going on with this piece of garbage team right now.
So one of them is Rod Phillips. Yeah, I guess it's technically not a sport, but it's like sports entertainment. But I'd probably go with Bret Hart because he was like basically like the first like prominent Canadian in wrestling back in the 80s and 90s or more 90s, and just would like to see just to know how it was, because I'm a wrestling fan, so like just to see how it was back in the day kind of thing.
Of course.
Probably Brian Smith, because he was definitely my favorite Oiler growing up.
100%.
Definitely would love to just hear about stories about like all his time with the Edmonton Oilers, and like probably Brian Smith would definitely be one of them too.
Cool.
So, all those three: Rod Phillips, Bret Hart, and Ryan Smith.
I love Smitty as well, dude. He's such a stud. Such a stud.
And I had told you like a long time ago that I got a picture taken with
in Denny's. When I
worked there.
Sweet.
Oh, that was.
I went to a liquor store like 9 a.m. to get his autograph one day.
Really?
And then I saw him in this like kitchen appliance store at West Ed. And that day I bought a bunch of like his signed memorabilia. No idea I was gonna meet him like a half hour later. He could have I could have saved me like $500,
bro.
Just signing it all himself. Anyways, that was one of the funniest, and if not, it's embarrassing stories. Not like I don't get embarrassed very often, but like that was a pretty embarrassing moment.
There was one moment in like the car show, like the auto show that is here like every year usually. Cujo was there signing autographs.
Cujo's a stud too, man.
And so it was like he signed the little like card thing with his picture on it, and then I asked him for just like a picture, and he was like, and he saw, because I had like a big beard at that time, and he was like, for that beard, definitely I'll take a picture with you. I'm like, yeah.
That's sweet, man. That's awesome. But all right, we've man, that's a lot of time focused on soccer and that kind of stuff. That's pretty nice, hey? Okay, well, we're going to quickly touch base on the NBA and NFL. It's not going to be too long today, just because, like, you know, not much has really changed in both leagues with respect to the teams that we're facing. Like, Golden State is still dominating. Andrew Wiggins is playing pretty well with that, and he's looking at history about to be made. Steph Curry any day now is going to become the leading three-point shooter in the history of the league. He's the best shooter that the NBA's ever seen. Oh, yeah. If you're going to be completely honest. So that'll be nice for like Wiggins, and then like the Raptors are I think they're 500 this week. Yeah. So like they're not gonna win the championship this year, but I think they have ways of developing for the future for sure.
Definitely with Barnes, like he has so much potential.
Yeah, and Van Vliet has been a superstar for us this year, like an actual stud. But I think he needs more support cast. Like, it can't be just Van Vliet and Barnes. Like, it's a big three that wins it now, unless you're Giannis Antetokounmpo. But even he had a decent big three, because he had two really good. Like, Middleton was pretty solid, and then, man, I forget the last guy's name. But it was a big three there. Yeah. They were playing pretty well together. And then, like, so we had a Thursday night football. Claypool was part of that. But there was an interesting story that came out about Claypool, about, like, how he isn't going to ever become very good because he's got a terrible attitude or something like that. You remember seeing that, right? You and I spoke about that earlier. What do you think of that?
He's still young, so he's not like the veterans. Well, they'll be like calm and collected, like they know what they're doing, kind of thing. So kind of makes sense. Like Claypool or even like any young player will just kind of go a little bit overboard, kind of do stuff that shouldn't be done, kind of thing. But I've seen him like show remorse, like what he's done, kind of thing. So he's learning. He'll get there, especially since like Roethlisberger is like basically gone now. So it'll take some time, but he can turn it around. I still see like good potential in Claypool.
I think he'll be a great player. I like maybe get his attitude checked a little bit. Sure.
Yeah.
But
like I said, he's young,
typically the case with most young people. Yeah.
They'll learn.
Okay, so we're gonna finish the episode talking about the NHL, and I'm gonna be honest. I'm not gonna talk about much about the Oilers, because they're infuriating me. If we're gonna be completely honest here, it's not even close. Like, I'm absolutely livid with them at the moment. They've lost their massive lead that they've had, and now they're just 2 points up on Vegas. And they have the same amount, and 1 point up on the Sharks, but with 2 games in hand. But the way they're doing right now, they're not catching up. So, which is coincidentally, the Flames are also on a 4-game losing streak themselves. So we haven't actually lost much ground on them. The Oilers have 2 games in hand on Calgary, 4 points back. So as long if they win the games in hand, they'll be tied for first in the Pacific. So like, the Oilers still have the ability of being first in the Pacific. They just need to really figure out their crap right now. Like, Koskinen let in 2 garbage goals again. He's in the freaking All-Star ballot. Did you know this?
Koskinen?
How?
No.
Why? Like, literally, John Scott was a billion times better choice than Mikko freaking Koskinen in the All-Star. Okay, why would he possibly?
Looking at the Pacific, you go with Markstrom and Gibson.
Yeah.
Markstrom, Gibson,
you go with every single goalie in the Pacific
except Koskinen.
Before Koskinen. Seriously, even San Jose.
San Jose, yeah, they have Hill, right? Aiden Hill?
Sure.
They
could have a freaking sumo wrestler in net and it'd still be over Mikko Koskinen. Last game he had a few big saves. 100%. He made a couple big saves. However, he also let in 2 garbage goals. You cannot win games in this damn league by allowing 1 to 2 garbage goals a game on average. I'm sorry. Listen, we've given him his chance. He needs to be done. Smith is supposedly coming back soon. Koskinen needs to be put on waivers and not Skinner sent down. Koskinen needs to be out of here. There's no way that this man can stay on this team and we can win games. I'm telling you, the second Smith comes back, we're gonna win games again. And it's because of the confidence that the players have in Smith, but it's also Smith's puck handling ability that makes him the third defenseman on the ice.
Not like last game with Koskinen, the one behind the net.
I'm so angry with them. But Calgary's been really good, man. And Vancouver's won 3 games now that they fired their coach, so Vancouver's starting to show up a little bit. I still think Vancouver's defense is way too weak to be a legit contender. And the Anaheim's been unbelievably surprising. Winnipeg has gone downhill. They're 4-5-1 in their last 10. They're now 5th in the Central. I still think 5th in the Central gets you into the playoffs, though.
Yeah.
So they'll probably be playing against the top team in the West, which right now looks to be the Minnesota Wild, man. They're playing unreally recently. They're 8-1-1 in their last 10, and they just lost a game. And then we go to the Atlantic. Toronto's back to where most of us thought they should be, 7-2-1 in their last 10, which has been nice. And then Montreal and Ottawa are just basement dwellers. I honestly think Montreal's got a Shane Wright this year, man. It's a battle between Montreal and Arizona for dead last in the NHL. I can definitely see Montreal getting it. Let's be honest, the league is corrupt. The lottery picks, the lottery balls, we're lucky that we got McDavid, and I'm pretty sure we got McDavid because they wanted to be let's give the next Gretzky or the next Lemieux a shot at Edmonton to rebuild that garbage team that has been so bad for so long. There's a little, and then Bettman going up and saying, "I'm not going anywhere." I'm like, that sucks because nobody likes you. But
sure, you've been good for the league, but everyone still hates you.
He's been good for the owners. He's not been good for the players or the fan base.
Yeah.
Let's get that out very clear. The owners obviously want to make money, but Bettman has been a horrific commissioner for the players, and just I guess players are making more money because of Bettman and what he's done for the owners, but for the fan base, fans, they hate him. Oh, yeah. They hate him with every ounce. Yeah. I cannot stand Gary Bettman at all. If there was a meet and greet, I'd just go up there and I would want to punch him in the face so hard. I don't want to get arrested, but man, God, I hate that man. He's just so terrible at everything he does. It's just outstandingly stupid. Okay, rant over. Is there anything else that you want to touch base on the NHL?
We did touch on it a little bit. We can talk about the All-Star game, and I guess
we talked about it earlier. Yeah.
See who.
Well, there won't be an All-Star game because of the Olympics.
Oh, that's true.
But there'll still be a first team, second team, third team All-Stars, first and second team All-Star teams, right?
Yeah. I think so. Yeah.
So. Your first center is going to be McDavid. He's leading the league in points with Draisaitl 45. I don't think there's a question. Now, this is where it gets difficult because Leon Draisaitl has... First off, Nazem Kadri is at a 1.5 points per game right now for Colorado. That's insane. I think he might get an All-Star. And he's the leading scorer of Colorado, and it's not even close. Yeah, I'm looking down the list, way down, and I see no one still. Yeah, he's just been crushing it for Colorado. It's been absolutely incredible for the guy. I think, Ovechkin, McDavid, definitely top 2. Kadri and or Draisaitl will be fighting with each other. Typically, they don't give Draisaitl anything if McDavid would something, and vice versa. So I can see Kadri making it over top of Draisaitl, but I don't. Yeah, that'd be silly.
Yeah.
Kaprizov, Panarin are definitely in there. And then you have obviously Fox and Yossi, who are doing really well this year too. That's probably who your first All-Star team is. And who?
Herdman. Herdman's doing really good.
Herdman's pretty good, yep. Between Herdman, Yossi, Fox, like they're going to be in the top, what's it called? They're going to be like top picks for the All-Star, for the like All-Star team, I guess. Like the first line All-Stars.
Yeah.
Who's the goalie, you think? Who's the best goalie? I mean, it's got to be Freddie, isn't it? It's got to be Freddie Anderson. Him or, like, Jack Campbell's been out freaking standing this year. But, like, Talbot's leading the league in wins. And then Campbell, Vassie, and Anderson are tied 1 win back with 14.
Yeah, they wouldn't give it to Talbot, even though Talbot is just playing lights out for many.
Listen, for me, it's got to be either
Anderson,
Anderson, or Campbell. Jari's leading the league in shutouts too. Correction, no Markstrom is, but Jari has 3 shutouts this season.
Mm-hmm. That's surprising because they had a slow start, and now they're just cruising.
It'll be interesting to see.
Interesting.
Like, there's a lot of good goalies right now. There's like 6 or 7 goalies that probably deserve it because we haven't even mentioned Shesterkin, who's playing unreal too.
Yeah.
And like Bobrovsky/Knight combo, that's been an outstanding combination there too.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
So, anyways, I'm so angry about the Oilers, dude. I can't even get over how peeved I am with these idiots right now. And now if they play the Leafs next too, like they never do well against the Leafs. And then it's the Columbus Blue Jackets. Our losing streak ends against Columbus, hopefully. But even then, Columbus is playing much better than Edmonton is right now. I mean, everyone's playing better than Edmonton is right now.
Right now, yeah.
Yeah. What do you think the Oilers need to get better? For me, it's a goalie. Like you can't have a goalie giving up 1 weak goal a game minimum. And I think once Duncan Keith gets back, then the left side of the defense gets shored up a little bit. Not saying that they were terrible, but, you know, honestly, for me, they need to reshuffle the forward lines a little bit. Like, have McDavid, Draisaitl, and Nuge all center their own lines.
Just have a really good,
why not?
Center.
Like that's never been tried.
Yeah.
We're garbage 5-on-5 team. Why wouldn't we try having the 3 best centers on the team playing the center positions? And then the 4th line center can be Ryan McLeod. I don't understand why Tippett's so against that. And that's probably why there's so many people calling for him to get fired. I don't think it's time yet. I think Tippett has done a lot of good for the team. That also being said, if he's so oblivious to even trying this, there's got to be a reason for it, but I don't understand the reason for it.
You're on a 5-game losing streak. Just try.
Gotta try something, man.
Yeah.
I guess maybe he wants to give Nuge more minutes, because if you're playing 3rd line behind McDavid and Draisaitl, then it's let's be real, you're not really getting many minutes. You'll get power play time every single power play, but that's the thing. McDavid, pair him with Puljujarvi. Draisaitl, pair him with Hyman. Nuge, give him Cassian and Fogle. They've been pretty decent recently. That's who scored the goal, actually. That's who the line, they were switching lines. It was Puljujarvi won the puck, or Nurse won the puck or something, gave it to Puljujarvi and made the lead out pass to Nuge for that goal against Carolina. Mm-hmm. Right? Seriously, you got to try something.
Just try something.
And we have the forward winger depth to be able to do something like that. Just put McDavid with Puljujarvi, and hell, is Benson up here still? Give Benson a try something. Something's got to give, man. They got to do something. And I think we still need, if they put those 3 centers as the top 3 centers, then you know what, 100%. That's decent enough. Best top 3 centers in the league. From 1, 2, and 3, those are the best center lineup in the league. There's no question. Just McDavid and Draisaitl are the 2 best centers in the league anyways. You might as well. And they're both on a cold streak right now too. They're barely getting points. Anyways, this team needs a lot of help, man. It's embarrassing what's going on right now with them. They need a lot of help.
Question is how will we get a goalie or get another impact player?
If Smith plays how he played last year, we don't need another goalie. Just straight up. We don't. Smith is good enough.
I guess for
Smith
a goalie,
played outstanding last year.
I guess for a goalie, we'll just wait for the deadline.
We'll see how Smith does, and then we'll probably wait for the deadline. Yeah. You need to find a way of getting rid of Koskinen, but even then, his contract is going straight to Nurse next year. Listen, I'm not envious of Holland at all. He's got a really tough job fixing this, but this is his team. This is now officially his team. Yeah. Really, because he's made a bunch of changes. His first pick has come up and all that kind of stuff. This is where he needs to. This is where his team starts to take form. Mm-hmm. And take shape. So I don't think they should be doing anything drastic right now, but I do think that things need to change. Lineups, give us what we freaking want, man. Like, and then also Yamamoto has no shots on goal in the last 5 games, and he's still a top 6 winger. Or sorry, top 6 forward.
Yeah, just move him.
No. Hell, maybe Yamamoto for Nebraska. You think Boston would do that one for one? Worth a try.
Change of scenery for both players.
Right?
Yeah.
Right. Anyway, that's it for me, man. If I keep on talking about these idiots, I'm going to just get so angry. So I'm going to just stop.
Nope. We're good. I think we're good.
We're done? You think we're good for the NHL?
I think we're good
for
the NHL.
Yeah, I mean, then there you go. Thank you, everybody, for listening to our episode this week, episode 11 of the Can Ask podcast. We'll see you later on this week for 1 or 2 midweek episodes.